Okay, let's get that stuff set up. And you should be live as well, Rue.
Hello, can people hear me? Do I sound okay?
Yeah, sound good. The audio isn't loud on my end for that turret, but if you want to turn it off, you can.
I think it's because my viewpoint is set forward in desktop mode, so when I turn my head, instead of like rotating on the spot, it's off axis a little bit, so it treats it as like a big change, and is trying to track it.
I see. Well, it's been years since we set this up, so there's probably a better way nowadays.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's using Protoflux to do head tracking.
Or maybe the, what's it called? Nearest, like, user, facing user, maybe?
Let's see.
Oh, there he goes. Also, welcome, folks. Just waiting for folks to stop by. This is the Resonite art team office hours. Hello? You're wondering what Rue is doing, is the other tall friend here. He's working on making that turret not follow us anymore. That's up there.
I'm gonna have to find it the hard way because it's non-collidable.
Ah, I see.
Here we go.
Well, all in all, I'm Aegis Wolf, and that's Rushen of
There
the
we go.
Resonite art team. Oh, you found it.
Yep. Me and they just worked on this a long time ago.
Yeah, figured try a different world for once. It's still also a desert, but this time on another planet.
Can you enable the preview for me?
Oh, yeah, yeah, there we go. Even scale up
If
the
you're wondering
camera
where
for
we're
you.
at, this is the Palnetter scene from the Alien Rescue meta movie project world. It is a public world. You can try it out. They had been running like kind of shows in this world um, where you run around with real actors who are um, playing characters for the scene. So it's like kind of like a big role play type game, and you go through the whole scene with them. They'll ad lib lines based on your actions and stuff. Um, it's pretty fun. I think they're working on another one, but this one has concluded. So they have the map here for people to check out and look at, and all the characters and stuff to mess with.
Yeah. I'll make sure you have Discord. I think I got the Discord announcements set out. Yes, I did. Good. Uh, since the settings are not set right now, I'm just gonna close Discord for now so that no Discord notification comes up and people get confused. But yeah,
Yes,
gonna be
the stream settings have been a little borked today.
yeah, we're gonna be working on that pretty soon. Definitely before the next recap stream.
Mm-hmm. Um, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them into chat with a question mark at the end, and we will go ahead and go over them. They can be over anything for Resonite, or the tools we use, or me or Aegis, whatever y'all want.
Mm-hmm. There are some things I'm gonna go over the stream here too. I'll be uploading the old stream right after this one as well as the new one to get catched up on the VODs that have been made, as well as, well, go over the stuff that I've been working on the wiki.
Yeah, there's some stuff on the wiki that I need to throw on there as well. Still trying to get my page set up for it. I don't quite know the formatting for those things, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, I can definitely show you after stream. Found out how to properly do tables, those little note things. It's like a kind of like a beveled bracket bar box that has like different colors depending on what it is. If it's like a piece of information, a suggestion for something, a warning, some
What we
kind
really
of.
need is a wiki page on how to make wiki pages.
There already exists. It already exists. It's just it'll probably be faster for me to just show you in like a Discord call for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's already a whole like thing about templates and that for the different things. So I learned how to
Okay.
do the different things. I'll bring in a couple of screenshots too that I made. So I can just open up ShareX and drag and drop a few in a bit later. Or, well, even
Mm-hmm.
now. So I was waiting for it to load and finally did. I see, so I can just drag and drop right into here. Bingo. Yeah. And for those just tuning in, welcome to the Resonite Team's office hours. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat, ending them with a question mark so that we'll know it's a question. Yeah, this should be one of the things that I've been working on. Hello, Dynamis. This right here is a work in progress update to the tools page of the wiki. Right now it has like a whole new section just for the custom tools. Of course, all of them are the same image right now, but I'd figured use that one custom tool as a template for all the other ones. It's about just making it exist first and then making it look pretty later.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the grammar and elsewhere, stuff like that.
Those
Definitely
pretty
there's
at the
a.
thumbnails for the tools. We just need to export them and throw them in there.
Yeah. Actually, anybody could really contribute to that, beat me to it. I wouldn't mind. Yeah. Actually, if you're wondering how to create a page just from here, you see like red links like this, you can simply just click on one of these links here. If it's red, for example, this procedural vines tool, I'm going to be making a page for that, and it would open up like, hey, there's not a page yet for that when you're editing. Or even when you're not editing, you can just create a page through those kinds of links. So it's pretty cool. Gonna be putting all the newer updated multi-tools as well too. But figured get the custom tools done, and I'm gonna bring in a few others as well. I had ShareX, there we go.
And hopefully people are staying warm. Over here there is a winter storm, so it has been extremely cold.
There's gonna be another one on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty chilly over here in the Midwest.
-30, I saw.
Oh man, yeah, in some places. Yeah, if folks are wondering about when I was mentioning about these like information bars or pop-up things. Not really pop-up things, but like markers. It's kind of like a when you're going through the wiki, you'll see these nice colored coded different things here and like little icons next to it. You can make templates of them too. Like say if there's a important piece of information you want to highlight or warning you want to do or something that's dangerous. Yeah. Been going through having a learning process this week and helping like teach people as I learn too. There's a whole new page as well, in addition to the updates to the tools page, a examples page, which things like the gadgets and the essentials, like the crossbow, bow, the like the toys and gadgets that the team has created will be in there, as well as examples of like protoflux or components. Things like, for example, this example of spatial variables, where it'll teach users how these work and how you can make
Mm-hmm.
them. And it also functions as a template as well too. Yeah, updating our wiki will help us significantly in our efforts to have a baseline for rewriting the tutorial, adding more content to the help tab, and even making YouTube videos or like content in general that we can post online so that people can learn how to use Neos. Resonite.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we're in this world. That's why that came out.
Yeah.
It's because that's how old this damn world is.
Yeah, we made this one
Jeez.
back on the other platform, and we spent like 2 years, I think, working on it. So it's a
Yeah.
little ingrained in our brains.
Yeah. This is like our testing and trials, learning 3D graphics in a more in-depth way.
There was
When
a
it,
lot of components that actually got like spawned out of this project. Like when I was working on making culling systems for this map, um, one of the things I needed was a way for colliders to track users, and that's where the collider user tracker came from.
yup.
Also, dynamic impulses. Um, they were like first kind of used in here. Um, there's even some like prototype uh, checking protoflux that was made at some point for this map for like if people wanted to charge for ticket emissions. And it was supposed to like check that stuff. I'm not sure how far those actually went, but it was funny because I accidentally DDoSed the servers at the time with a protoflux node.
Oh, that was for a different event, but that was using the same kind of like mechanics that would
I
have
did
been
it
also
twice.
used.
One was for this one.
You did it twice.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, casualty DOSer here. uh,
I specifically remember because it was supposed to be checking their ticket status, and that's the one I hooked up to a loop
and
when
it
it
just
updates.
kept on checking it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I remember the other one was about Signal R when that was implemented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those were
Fun
the
times.
days. Oh, there's my desk.
I'm the reason there's limits on things.
There's two people I know. They're like that. You and modern.
Like I'm the reason why there's limits on the dash open and close speed.
Oh no! Did you like put it like a large
So
amount and it's like I can't even
no,
use my dash?
I set it to a negative number, and
Oh.
so it inverted the function of my dash, meaning that when I tried to open my dash, I would close my dash, but it would still act like I had it open, so I couldn't move. Um, and then I could open my dash and move again, but then my dash would be open. It was it was so bad that it had to be like hard coded as a fix. Because like I couldn't get to the menus because it would lock my cursor and setting save on exit. So it's okay. That's why we test things. So, and that's why I did that was to see what would happen. Because you never know, someone might be trying to do something, they accidentally hit the minus sign instead of the plus sign or whatever. You know, set their thing negative. It's good to check all scenarios.
I remember modern typing in nan in like I think the um like depth buffer or something of either a camera or a mirror, and just instantly crashing themselves because they purposely caused a what is called a nan explosion. And nan stands for not a number, and in mathematics that could be problematic, especially in
Mm-hmm.
programming as well too, when dealing with said math.
Fun times.
There's a
Um,
specific node that actually can help people prevent NAND explosions from their own protoflux. I think it's under math. Was it?
mhm. um, I thought maybe it's either an operator, I think, because you're looking for the is nan, right?
No. Unless if that's another one too that you can use,
Or
but
is null. But
is null is like, well, null
oh,
is
filter nan is what you're looking for.
filter. So I'm trying to remember because it was. Alright, it might be quantity. No. Gosh, I am trying to remember where this is from. Eval? That's
I have no idea.
operators.
I think it was a mirror that they were messing with, which in that case, a lot of the stuff behind it is code generated
Filter
from the actual
invalid.
component. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's what it is.
I know it was filter something. There's so many nodes.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's actually good to know. Because,
Don't
like,
forget to show where that is too.
yeah, I'll just, oops. Let me just use a normal protoflux node here. There we go. But yeah, if you're wondering where this is located, I'm gonna go into smooth POV here real quick. It's under operators. And right there, value filter invalid.
Back in the day, there used to be a few issues with nan, and so we had to use filter invalid a lot, or is nan, or is null a lot. You can kind of date protoflux based on how many of those you see in the nodes. I think there's a version of the car that has just like an entire section where every other equation there's just a filter invalid.
So there's the value that you take in as an input. It checks if it ever is nan or any other invalid number, and then it has a fallback number. In this case, I put 7. So if I put nan, it automatically changes to 7 in this case. Comes in handy, especially if you're trying to diagnose something and it keeps on throwing errors. You can use that to kind of like just filter them out. Well, that means there's likely something else that you gotta check that's causing it. And in other words, there is a recent fix that came into play into Resonite thanks to folks updating it. And that is with the particle system. It's a bug that happens where if you have something that creates particles within the world. Wait, is this? Oh, this one is not a good example. Of course,
So fast.
yeah. Or maybe if I get the old one, I'll get the old one. Because I'm still working on this.
Y'all would think we're crazy for how our inventories look over the years making stuff for personal projects and Resonite.
There we go. That's actually a good example. For example, those particles that get spawned out. If I shoot a projectile here, those particles are being referenced on the bow. So there was a problem when you shoot it and you delete before the particles emit. It basically tries to find a particle that doesn't exist. And yeah, that caused some issues. At least until now. Including ones several times on accident when I'm working on the newer version of a projectile system for these, which is nearing completion. I'm doing a lot of the documentation on the wiki right now. Including the older versions of it so that in case if people are looking at those, they'll know how it works. And they'll know the exact reasons why I had to rewrite it and rewrite it again. Yeah.
It was something I was gonna say. Oh yeah, that's right. Something interesting happened recently. Flux Pose pledge or like the campaign ended, and they got fully funded. So a lot of the team
More
members
than fully
are,
funded.
yeah, I think by like 8 times, something like that. Um, they will hopefully be sending a few of the team members some packages so that we can try out some Flux Pose stuff and get it working inside of Resonite, which will be really fun. Um, so I cannot wait for that. Definitely going to be helping test it out. And if anyone else has a Flux Pose or is expecting one, I think at some point we'll probably have some information on where we can do some testing.
Mm-hmm. And likely by then too, updates to Resonite's IK handling and full body tracking will be out by then too. Because if I recall, it's at Q4 of this year is when they expect to ship the first editions out.
And for those that don't know um, what it is full body tracking done through magnets, which is really cool. Let me spawn this in over here. It looks like these. They're little pucks, and we're not sponsored by them, just in case. We just think they're really cool. Um, yeah, they're pretty small. They last for quite a long time, at least from the videos that we've seen of them. Uh, it'll be fun to use these. They don't get occluded as well, so you can wear like clothing and stuff over them, and they'll still track, which is a good boost for me because like it's cold. I want to wear a shirt. Sometimes it just covers the trackers. So.
They're also magnetic, and
Mm-hmm.
like you'd think it would get affected by metal around it. It has built-in software that compensates for it. And they've been constantly like updating that software and having the early testers like help contribute data to that software to improve it. So you got like all the trackers and then like the kind of like the anchor point that those trackers all follow, which is that extra thing in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
and the charging station that is all on. And yes, I did notice the question there too from computer user. So our first question of the day. Let's see here. Oh, that is an interesting effect. That's the
Oh yeah,
fog.
because of the fog volume.
The fog is coming. Okay. Do you know if there are any performance benefits from using vertex colors as opposed to using a texture? This is assuming that the texture isn't too large, something like 2K or so, and the model isn't either somewhere less than 40K tries. This could absolutely be a micro optimization that very few people would actually notice. The answer I currently have is it depends on the benchmark. But depends, so benchmark it. But also, I wanted to ask before I did.
I mean, the only
Uh,
benefit you're really going to get at that point is like VRAM usage, which most cards have a ton of VRAM, and a 2K texture is not really going to like hit you that hard. The thing that's going to really hit performance is the amount of tries on that object. 40K, depending on what the object is. If it's a map, that's not that bad. If it's a single like small object, that's kind of high, and you want to get that down. Um, if it's a collection of objects, you might want to split them up based on how big they are. So if it's something, and this is a general rule that I use, um, if it's something that can be seen in your full view within a few feet, it should be by itself, in it, like not grouped with any other objects. And for that reason, is the way Resonite calls things is if its object center is out of your view fully, that object will de-render. So like if you have all the trees in a map as one big object and you look at any single tree, it will always render every tree, even if you're not looking at them. So it's better to have them as single objects. And that can be used for like boxes, containers, walls, all kinds of stuff like that, especially if you're building a big map. Like this map here, um, even though this section is grouped together, each of those things has its own like root in most cases, or at least each section has its own root. Um, but yeah,
they did also add like they're specifically referring to an avatar, but like the saying kind of still goes: if it's something that you see a lot, like your own avatar or other people see a lot, then it makes sense to have that much detail or fidelity, depending on like what you're doing. If the avatar has a lot of detail in the body, face, or whatnot, depending on what it is, you may want that extra detail. But in regards to vertex colors versus textures, at that point, it just depends on like if you want to utilize vertex colors, because usually around 2K textures, 1K textures, whatnot, it's usually fine for like a avatar because these days people have made things like culling systems within worlds. So as long as like you're being mindful about what kind of materials you put on your avatar, how much texture space you're using in regards of like, is it a texture that's reused? Like on my avatar uses the same trim sheets as like other things, but or thing that's baked into a like a single texture or whatnot, or a group of materials baked into one material.
another good trick for getting a lot of detail with a small texture is to separate those materials that you want high detail on. For instance, on my avatar, my head and face are separate from my body. My body is just a 1K texture. My face is a 1K texture. But because of that scaling, I'm able to put a lot more detail into it than what it would look like because the UV map size is larger. Also, and I'm not like a computer engineer or a coder, but from the way I understand it, and I have done a little bit of research into this for use in here, and that's the difference between the vertex colors and the texture in terms of like going back and forth between the CPU and GPU is no matter what, your computer still has to render those triangles at a certain color, whether it's using a texture information or the vertex colors. So it's still going to be going back and forth about the same amount. as far as I understand it. It's just how much the GPU is running. But GPUs are extremely fast, and at that rate, it's literally just going to matter about VRAM. So if you're like thinking about mobile devices or computers with lower end graphics cards, yeah, it would make a difference. But if you are using like uh, a pretty
Regular,
decent
like a
graphics card and a
desktop
desktop computer, yeah, you're
or
not going to
laptop.
notice any difference.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah. Do also note that the mesh also takes up memory as well too.
Yeah.
It's like pretty much anything that is drawn on the screen takes up memory. Like UAX, text, like
You want to put this
mesh,
one out there?
textures. Yeah. It's a follow-up question about the culling systems that people have made.
Yep.
But to kind of finish on that note of the other one, it's I don't know, like if you're with like a small amount of colors, some people just have like things controlled by a small texture atlas of like different colors as like different parts of the image. Some people have it via vertex colors. It just depends like the workflow you do. If yeah, in part is also benchmarking it too. It's like there's no definitive way to fully like make sure of like does this cost more or does this cost more. There's the fundamental principles that you can know about, like this could use more or this could use more or less, whatnot. And with making things, sometimes the performance impact can be the case of like, as they say, death by a thousand cuts, where there's a lot of small things that add up.
Mm-hmm. Also, everyone's uh like hardware is different. So
Mm-hmm.
someone not lagging because of something may lag someone else. Like it's super super hard to, consistently get that.
Yeah, and it might not even be about like, how much performance it costs. It could be like something that a piece of hardware isn't really that great of like rendering it or something or processing it. Because that happens with like either drivers or different types of hardware brands, which that gets that gets confusing sometimes too. And then software, or yeah, software. Going on to the next question here from Dynamus, referring to culling systems that people have made. Is the culling system slot level component, asset, or mesh level? Likely
Sometimes
it's
it's a combination.
yeah, but likely it's not component or asset level, but it's likely
Oh, you know what? I think they mean like the base renders, which in that case, um it doesn't affect the component because the component will still register as active. The asset will still be active, and so will the mesh. It is purely something in the rendering engine. So it's not quite something that you can kind of check, I don't think, and I don't think there's like a flag for it. The closest thing would be when you're looking at a mesh and you look at like the bounds of it. That's the only instance that I can think of where you can actually affect the culling in that regard. For that specific one, this is talking about like engine level culling
frustrum
that Resonite
culling,
uses.
but I
Yeah.
think what they're referring to is the user culling systems that people have created, and they are slot based, where it hides the entire avatar and replaces or swaps the visibility
Okay.
of the
Right there.
avatar with. Oh, for
Yeah.
okay. Well, yeah, that pretty much answers both of those statements too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's engine level. Um, Well, like I was saying, you can edit that by just changing like the bounds of an object. So if you ever find an object is disappearing too quickly inside of your vision, like you can actually see it de-render, you can try setting a different bounds for that object so that it calculates it more accurately. but that can also lead to a little bit of performance costs. So you got to pick and choose what you want.
Like you can see, like the bounding box of one of the meshes on my head. And there's a way
Mm-hmm.
within the mesh settings right here to actually recalculate the and use different types of bounding boxes within the inspector.
Most of the time, it'll just work right out of the box. And the only time you ever have to really touch those kind of things is like when something is actively not working properly. But I would also mention that in those cases, it could possibly be how the avatar is set up or how the object is set up, because sometimes you can have pieces of mesh that are pretty far away from where their root is, so it kind of gets like confused. For instance, my avatar has a little bit of issue because I got really long legs, and I've separated a lot of parts of my avatar for performance reasons. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. And just a reminder to chat, if anybody has a question, just simply put a question mark at the end of their question, and it will show up on our Twitch chat here. Yeah.
Yep, we got about half an hour left, unless we end up early.
So got plenty of time for folks to ask questions. All in all, kind of a little bit of a slower week this time. Just been going through updating the wiki when I can. Some folks weren't able to really do much, either because of the storm or otherwise. So yeah,
Yeah, storms hit a couple of us pretty hard. It's knocked out Ryuvi's internet and their power for a little while, and for me, it's made it so cold that it's sometimes hard to sit at my computer. My house is not set up for winter, definitely set up for summer.
yeah,
Looks like we're almost out of the cold though. When I was looking at the forecast, at least for a little while, it's going to go back up to the 70s.
yeah. Hopefully you're staying warm though too.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely pretty chilly out.
One thing I'll mention about avatars that I've had trouble with specifically is make sure that bones that are not being used for the IK have the no IK tag set on them. And you can see this on the wiki. Um, and if you're doing this in Blender, Blender has a batch rename function, which is extremely useful. Say if you want to rename like 1,000 bones, you select them all, do batch rename as if like just right click batch rename, and it'll let you put it in before or after or wherever. You can even change like the wording on the whole thing.
Yep, this is the tag you use
Mm-hmm.
in that brackets.
I recommend doing it in front of the word with a space between the name. It's not wholly necessary, but I think it helps the heuristic system just kind of read
Yeah,
it easier.
and that's
Uh,
called a suffix.
yeah,
Prefix is like
I thought it was a
before.
yeah. I thought it was yeah. That's what I mean. Prefix. You want to add it before?
Prefix? Oh, before. I thought you
Yeah.
said. Okay, never mind.
Um, but it shows it on the wiki. And if you are doing an avatar that has like detailed hands, or if you have like four fingers, you might actually have to name the fourth finger or anything after the third finger no IK, because that confuses the heuristics for the hand setup system. And sometimes can make it like where your wrists are backwards when you do the avatar setup.
Yeah. This is a follow-up question from controller. Follow-up question from computer user on benchmarking the vertex colors versus texture question. What would be a good way of to benchmark the difference between the two? First assumption would be to spawn a bunch of copies of a model and see how much it impacts frame rate. If I recall, there are tools out there for like rendering stuff that run in between, like a program in like a rendering engine. Recall things like RenderDoc or so. I've been meaning to look at that at some point too myself, but it's probably best to utilize if it's within Resonite. You also got like the debug menu there. When you look through the different like stats of a world, you probably see
The only
some of the
issue that I
information.
can see with that method is that like it would be also be running calculations for other things in the world that aren't pertaining to solely that change. So like if you spawn out 1,000 of that avatar, it's going to calculate the position of all those avatars and the position of all the bones in those avatars. And if they're like if they have blend shapes on them, it has to calculate all that information as well. So it's not going to be just running the texture changes. It's doing a lot at the same time. Um, I guess maybe if it was a static model with a difference in texture, that might be a bit better. Again, though, it still is going to be having to run the calculations for that object's position and its place in the hierarchy. Like, there's a lot going on. We do want to improve the tools that people have for doing benchmark stuff, and it's something that we're looking at, and especially pushing for as members of the art team because we need it for our work as well. Some of that stuff just goes slowly. So eventually, when we have those tools, benchmarking those things will be a bit easier.
Yeah. And as I said too, there are tools out there that you don't need to necessarily like use in-game like stuff, but things like RenderDoc. This case, it's purely stuff about rendering the things, which is Unity based. It even like run this in just a static Unity scene and just see it like that too, where you have a version of the avatar that has the vertex colors and one that doesn't, or run something like RenderDoc or so with Resonite and be in a blank world, very basic avatar, look at the difference between the two and see if there's like a performance difference. But a lot of that difference regards to vertex colors versus things like texture, it's like you're trading extra data that could be on a model versus extra data in a texture entirely. Also, you got to take into account what kind of texture you use and what size, what type, in regards of like compression and uh, how it renders on your view as well too. Yeah, things like that.
The only other like benefit to vertex colors that I can see is that technically it would incur less network usage because transferring just the numbers to make the vertex colors is easier than transferring the information for a texture. But even then, you're only looking at like maybe a few milliseconds worth of like upload download speed.
Older games like the PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 utilized vertex colors in the beginning for early 3D graphics.
Mm-hmm.
They also had textures then too, but not as much. It got more and more popular as the hardware got more powerful, as well as utilizing vertex colors for other things like tinting the textures as well too in different colors. Like for example, if you have an avatar that has like a whole bunch of different colors on it, and you have like I don't know scales or fur depending on or metal paneling or whatnot on your avatar, and you tint it different colors using the vertex colors, and that's just another way of like adding depth to your avatar as well too. And yeah, now we have another question, this time from Qualitorium. Y'all have made music for the Resonite before, right? How long have you been making music? What's your workflow like, or what instruments do you play? Uh, so I've been making Resonite or music for Resonite since pretty much its inception. That's like when I decided, okay, we're gonna probably I probably want to at least try to get into the music side of creating things as part of the art team, and I picked up FL Studio at the time. In real life, I remember playing the violin for like 7 years in both middle and high school, so I do know a thing or two about reading music and also writing it, but I mostly play a lot of it by ear rather than using the music notations, but I do know how to read it. And a lot of I played a little bit of piano here and there too, mainly so that I can plug in a MIDI piano into the computer and use that as a way to make the notes quite faster instead of just clicking and dragging them by hand using the mouse.
Actually, it would be cool if we could get the sheet music for some of the tracks. That way, people could use them in other things, or you
Mm-hmm.
know, see how they're done.
Yeah. I mean, all the music right now are available within the Resonite Essentials uh, under the assets, Resonite assets music, as well as music from Frux's previous projects as well. And yeah, at some point I do want to like delve into more and more of like different methods of like making music, different instruments to mess around with, and all that kind of fun stuff. Maybe even collaborate with folks because that would help me with some of the issues I've been having with trying to write music.
Uh, did Lacey make a track?
They helped with the like mastering the track of the local home,
Mm.
mainly to like get the audio levels right on it. Yeah, the I like how that music now is just like, oh, did my world crash or something? Yeah, especially the old one.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just find it real quick and just spook everyone.
I wonder how many people listen to the whole track, given that like most people when they load in their local home, it's either for a microsecond whenever they're loading, or like if a world exploded.
Okay, that's enough. uh yeah, I do. Yeah, I really want to make more tracks over time, but I just probably need help in regards of like, so I'm not the only one doing it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe someday now in the future, have some people
I'm unfortunately
collaborate.
tone deaf.
I knew some people in orchestra class who were. They still
I
played
can't
well.
even. Oh, I could play music because I could read it really well. But if you asked me to sing my favorite song right now, I could not do the melody. I don't know why. Like I can hear it in my head. I just cannot reproduce it, no matter how hard I try.
And it's completely understandable. I do know some folks like that back even in orchestra class, so
My brain is just
yeah.
not wired for it. I used to play tuba um, and piano, and I really liked those things. But I ended up having to. Well, I didn't do piano in band. When I was doing in band was the tuba, and I couldn't stay on that because at the time I needed braces. And for those of you that know how to play a tuba, you cannot play a tuba with braces.
Oh boy.
um, yeah, my lips would have fallen off if I had kept going with that. So I had to stop. A little sad, but the piano was fun, and I have tried to pick it back up here and there. I just haven't had a lot of time to consistently go at it. I do have a really nice like, electric keyboard that I bought, uh, but I need to find some room to set it up again and get that like program on my computer set back up. That it's kind of like you ever play that Magic Piano Tiles game?
Is it called Synthesia? Do you have that?
Uh, yes, I think yeah that's what I was going to use.
Yeah,
Where
that's
it
like
shows
the
you like on the
original one where it's like,
keyboard.
yeah, it's like where people make either meme songs where it completely fills the screen, or like
Yeah.
if you've probably heard music from a video game, likely someone made it for that program.
If y'all haven't tried synesthesia, it's really cool, and I believe it's free. At least there's a version of it that's free. Um, yeah, it's awesome.
Otherwise, it's like a pay once you get it, kind of
I'm
like
pretty
how
sure
you
you can
get
hook up
with
any piano you want to it, as long as it like hooks up through the computer.
FL Studio.
Um, but yeah, there's even versions I think you can use with your keyboard, which is funny enough.
Like an actual like computer keyboard.
Yeah,
Ah,
Black Betty.
oh no. Hey Jewel, what's a MIDI? I'll show you what a MIDI is. Just completely filling the screen.
mm.
What's funny too is like with some of those MIDIs and that you can like import into programs like FL Studio and just swap the instruments out and just see how it will play, or even with
Yep.
sound effects. It just it just gets chaotic too. You can just apply filters and all that, and it just yeah.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of which, you should put the instruments that you used for the songs in a list somewhere, maybe like on the wiki. That way, if people wanted to make Resonite themed music, they could use the same kind of instruments, or like the sample templates.
I'll do what I can on that, but like what the thing is too, like with each thing that I've been making, I've been trying to listen to different instruments that I have access that I either bought or have access to for free. Man, I need to update FL Studio as well because there's new ones that I don't even have access to yet that are free because they're only using like newer versions of plugins. But there's some definitely plugins, including some used by like people like Toby Fox or like ones that generate sounds similar to like an NES or just
You should check out the samples that that guy who makes cursed pianos puts up, because every time he makes a cursed piano, they sample it and turn it into an instrument for music processors.
ooh. Like,
Some
is it
funny
like a
ones.
really messed up piano and they just do it anyways?
Like a piano that uses hammers, like actual hammers, instead of like the little tiny ones, or 1,000 volt piano where each time it like hits the hammer, it like it's a metal sheet
It
that's over 1,000
sparks?
volts.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
There's another where they replace it with like guitar strings or
Oh,
fishing
that would be
line.
interesting.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. A lot of them sound really interesting. Not all of them sound bad, but they sample each one of those and they make instruments out of them. That way, if people want to make some songs with them, they can.
I know one of these days we'll make like a working piano in here. I did make like a prototype of it, but
Oh yeah, I
like
remember that.
a fully sampled one. I know Ravi has access to one, so potentially that'll be a thing in the future.
I remember the old one.
Yeah, have it
And
somewhere.
there's been a few people that have made instruments. The other thing I like saying is VR specific instruments, where it is purely a creation of VR and like an impossible physical object.
Oh yeah, where like it's like a magical object or some kind of weird alien device or like extra dimensional like
You just kind of
artifact
like
that
you can
just
play it in
does
here, but it's not
sounds.
something someone could make IRL.
Yeah. Floating strings or drums or I don't know, buttons that you can press that make different sounds that you can just mess around with. People have made things like laser harps, even though those are also in real life. That just takes a laser like distance thing, and then depending on the distance between the ground and then where you put your hand between the laser, it changes the pitch.
hmm Oh, what kind of software do you use for the music? Is it just FL Studios? Or you use other
Uh,
stuff?
lately it's just mainly FL Studio, and even using it for sound effects is pretty good too, because then you can like utilize the different audio mastering stuff on there. Of course, I've been using like a Audacity or at least a fork of Audacity as
Yeah,
well.
all the sound effect stuff that I've made, which has been a few here and there, or like edits to audio that I've done, has all been through Audacity.
Yeah, been using a fork of it called Tenacity as of late,
Mm.
and I'm trying to think if there was any other like music related programs. I've messed around with some older ones here and there. Like I've remember messing around with GarageBand on like school computers on the Mac and like its counterparts on the phone, and, like MIDI piano players and stuff like that. Can't really think of anything else. Maybe even like an old CD of like a Sony Acid Music, as it's called, once in the past. But not really that I can think of now, other than what I've mentioned before. But it is something that I do like doing on occasion.
We have about 8 minutes left, so if people want to ask some last minute questions, just remember to put a question mark at the end of them. We'll get to them.
With the new wiki stuff that has been being written down, a document and guidelines on how to submit public folders once we have that set up will also be on there. Like going over again, we're going to be changing the process to back to submitting public folders instead of individual items, because we're going to be treating the uploads to there the same way we treat like world uploads. So it's a much easier process on people wanting to share content within Resonite and for us trying to organize it. So be on the lookout for that information.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but yeah, other than that, just been writing wiki articles. Been even thinking of someday doing a Resonite art style guide, similar to how Hightail did theirs, so that modders can make content for Hightail in their art style.
They have a lot of really good documentation for like everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been looking at that and it's like, yeah, I really want to do something like that. Teaching users how to do blend shape animations for like the cloth simulation stuff that we did for the Cloud Home, how it's baked into a blend shape animation to the trim sheets, work how they work in here, and the design philosophy between that and traditionally baking textures and like the trade-offs that we're doing because of it.
Yeah, one of the
And
workflows we went into was like a multi-material workflow where an object is not using a single texture, but it's made up of a bunch of shared materials. And that's purely so that we can deduplicate materials in the world. So, like,
mm-hmm.
all of the furniture that has a wood pattern is using the same wood pattern literally everywhere. And it's not just like a similar texture.
And Yeah, and you can like swap them out for different types of materials as well, quite easily. Like if it's not like the actual trim sheets, if it's like just the wall material, if you wanted to change it to like I don't know some kind of like rock or metal, you could. And even like the
It's
trim
actually how
sheets
the
as well, if you have it at the right scale for the texture, it will replace it correctly.
mhm. It's how the cloud homes walls and stuff are set up, and we set up material relays that way you can just easily change out the patterns and stuff without having to worry about like the trims.
Number one reason is if you could imagine baked textures for every single like prefab part for like even the current set of like pieces for both furniture and like structure pieces, that's going to be a lot of data that
Oh yeah,
is unnecessary.
we did that once here actually, uh,
Yep.
and never again.
No,
I
we're
remember I was sitting there baking textures for the Black Hawk ship for like 6 hours, and we had to do that multiple times. Every time we updated like a model, the textures had to be rebaked, and did not have a good computer back then, so baking textures was kind of slow.
oof. Yeah, baking textures is like resorted to the actual texture trims themselves because you can create like a whole set of textures that you can just reuse, whether it be for like flat surfaces or trims or like specific effects that you can use by manipulating the UV maps in Blender or a 3D modeling program and then importing them into here.
And if you do figure out how to make your own trim sheets, you can actually change the either strength or shape of the bevel that is used on a lot of the stuff inside the Cloud Home, just by changing the normal map. You don't even need to change the texture. You just bake a new normal map in Blender, line it up, and if you want like a sawtooth kind of bevel, so it's sharp and looks like kind of like a little jagged piece, you can do that. If you want to have it like
Engravings.
a flat bevel, so it's just a straight indent rather than the kind of curved one we have right now. Like there's a lot you can do with just editing the trim sheet on an object because it'll change the way it feels.
And yeah, with a design document that will show people how not only to make this stuff would be good, but also like where we come from in regards of what kind of references we use as well,
Mm-hmm.
and like the design philosophy itself, and maybe even little bits of lore in there too.
A lot of Destiny and Halo inspiration,
Mist,
at least in terms of like the
Destiny,
way
Halo,
the
Mist.
assets. Yeah, in terms of like the way the assets are created and the way that like the engine uses them.
Yeah, because both of us have a lot of experience not only playing those games but also dissecting them,
Mm-hmm.
seeing how Bungie has created their assets or 343 with designing their stuff either through their modding tools or through their GDC talks that they do occasionally.
For
And
instance, a lot of the plants that I've been making are almost completely directly like designed the same way that Bungie does the plants for Destiny 2 because they just do it really well, and it's just a good workflow.
mm-hmm, and both Bungie and 343 used Substance Painter.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did is Rue did is baked Atlas textures, which are like a whole bunch of different, for example, plant leaves onto a single texture, and then a whole bunch of different types of plants use the same material, but they use just different portions of the texture. That way you're saving on memory as well too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although we did have to do a little bit of customization and make it into a DDS, but that is a little above and beyond what normal people should do. Uh,
It's because
if
you
you're
got a
making
lot of
DDS files, people will call you crazy.
auto a lot of that stuff is automatic these days with newer engines, and likely we'll have those tools once we're on a different rendering engine, because that'll be something I probably will not only like but need. we'll
Hmm.
need that for building stuff, and a lot of people on here would likely need that to make their content look nicer instead of having to go into esoteric texture lands that everybody takes for granted in things like Unreal Engine.
Yep.
And on that note, before we go over maps again, we did
Yeah,
mention that
we
in
could spend
previous
like 3 hours
ones.
on bitmaps.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much is it for the art team office hours. Every Wednesday we go over the art team office hours here on Twitch, and within the Discord there is a forum collection of forum posts that you can post questions ahead of time. The post for next week's our team office hours hasn't been created yet. Be created just after this one, and the VOD for this one will be uploaded soon too, as well as the previous one. As well as tune into our other office hours too that the other folks on the team do. Fruits does theirs on Sundays. Prime does theirs on Tuesdays. Veer also does theirs on uh, Sundays as well too. If you want further information, check out uh, the events stuff within the Discord as well as the events. Not tab. It will be a tab, but it is a facet within the Resonite Essentials, right next to the camera. And you can see all the events and where they are
Hmm.
located and when they're happening.
And if you click on them, it shows you more info.
Yeah, like for example, Cards Against Humanity. There's also, I think, where is it?
Oh, and
There's the
we don't have the
resonance.
fancy outro because the stream thingy was borked. So we're gonna have to pull out the panel again.
Well, we have to put out the panel anyways. Why? Because it shows everyone that is live in the
supporters list.
yes, in the supporters list. Thank you. If I go to streaming and waboom, this is thy supporter board. Big shout out to Sidereal Scout, Hikari Akamori, Zachary Earthmark, as well as those in the pink, Technocatron, Big Red Wolfie, Veer Exist, Brodock, Chevron 7, BD underscore, Jack the Fox Otter, Skill Thisar, Reeks, Metian, Ikani, Starla, Steeple Jackal, Mad- Madiator 2011, Mira SK, Takusin, BZ, Jinstius, Micro, a Random Meatball MKE, Zephyr, Lero Fox, Keith, Kyuburu, Zaizu, Water, Annie, Lotus Gaming, Faith, and Kirdron, as well as many, many more, not even including the, yeah, just again, for folks wondering, this is just the sheer amount of supporters, and
The
even
big
more.
list.
There is so much generalized
Thank you.
list of a lot of folks. Thank you. Y'all have a good one and stay warm or cool if you're on the other hemisphere.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.